Sometimes you say, I wonder what the will of God, not mine, but thine will be done. Sounds great, really. But in truth, it's redundant. Because there's only one will. You're always doing what God wants you to do. But because you carry the agenda of smallness, you perceive wrongly. Do you understand? And you perceive with judgment, with comparison, and so you see small. For example, oneness. Can anything be more beautiful than oneness? My God, you know, there's nothing that is not you. How can you walk more freely and more at peace and more contented than walking in oneness? But yet, when you look with an agenda, that oneness is horrifying because you feel lost. You see? You feel you, who I think I am, the small person, is now lost. And that's loneliness, that's desolation, that's deprivation, that is poverty, that is pain. You see? That is fear. But these things don't exist in reality. Only truth exists. So a master who talks from the ultimate sense, says there is no reincarnation, there is no karma, there is no destiny, there are no masters, there are no teachers, there is no gurus, there is no students, there is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing but existence itself. Nothing exists but existence itself. That is the ultimate truth. That Jesus could not teach that 2,000 years ago because they wouldn't understand. So he talked in parables. You see, in the New Testament. Now Buddha said it outright. You see, Buddha never used any. He just said it right off. There's only emptiness. You see, Bhagavan says there's their only self, and of course, same thing. When Jesus was asked, "But you are great. You are doing all these things," he said, "No, not I, but the Father in me doeth these things." You see. So there's only one thing: the oneness itself, acting as if it is you acting. So there's only one will. So whenever you forget yourself, not forget yourself because there is no self to forget, there just is. So when you act from this isness, which I call peace of mind, okay, which can never leave you once you realize the truth, when you begin to live from that, then you never see any separation. And that is the ultimate understanding. Now, if the same master would talk to an individual, then he would listen to the voice, the tone, the question and the person, and says, this person is still in his mind. So I'll explain. Yes, there is karma, you have to be careful how to think, because there is cause and effect, and there is this and there is that. You see? And he'll explain it that way. So therefore, to that person, there is separation. There is the teacher, the student, the master, and there is the student. But in reality, there's none of that. But because he sees that separation, then the teacher talks in a way that he will understand. And that's why they said that Jesus, when 2,000 years ago, he talked in parables, because there was no way that they would understand. You see? And this is why, for example, the prodigal son, he gave a story when the son... You know the story of the prodigal son? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. You don't? You don't know? Oh, you don't know the story. Well, very, very briefly, there was a rich man, and he had some sons, and he had a lot of land which they were going to inherit. And they all were very faithful. They all stayed with him. They all obeyed what he said and everything else. But one of the sons was a rebel, and he wanted to experience the world. And he went away, and he slept with whores, and he drank, and he did everything worldly. And of course nothing worked, and he said, no, the world doesn't work. He came back broken-hearted back to his father. Oh, please forgive me, you know. And the father says, blessed are you, because the one who sees the error of his ways is far greater than the one who never did. You see? So that's the story of the prodigal son. Jesus gave that story, but what it really means is that we are born with an ego, thinking we are a person. And when we begin to realize that that doesn't work, and if it doesn't work, that means it's not real, then we go back, like the prodigal son, and say, I'm back to that which I am. You see? in here, the booklet, which I'd like you to take a copy, The Confusion of Duality, there are some contradictions here which I'd like we explore together. So remember, if you want to explore contradictions, are you looking from the I that you think you are, person, and then there are opposites? Or are you looking from that one I, which just is? Then how can there be contradictions? You see? So it all becomes clear. But I'd like to ask you a question here. What is spiritual growth? Yeah.
It's a ruse.
Very good. Were you going to say illusion and ruse? Yeah, that's right. There's no such thing.
Yeah.
Yet we talk about it a lot. Can consciousness grow? Can spirituality grow? No. There's no such thing as spiritual growth. There is only the realization that there's no you. That's it.
I see it letting go of the, not letting go of the ego, but not living through the ego.
Yeah. Seeing that the ego never existed. It was just an idea that you thought was you. You see? And to the extent that that dies, we call it, oh, they're growing. You see? So as we, quote, grow, we really, what is happening is we are shedding the falsity. We are shedding the deception, the history, the role. You see? And we're becoming humble, open, loving, tender. You see? All that is happening automatically. We don't achieve these things. They're there automatically the moment the idea of ego begins to die. Yeah.
But aren't those qualities really the qualities of transparent?
The isness.
The isness.
Yes.
That just come through the more transparent we are.
The more transparent you are, the more empty you are, the more you get these quality-less qualities.
So it's nothing that you could ever strive for.
You cannot strive for peace, for love, for anything. They are you already. Mm-hmm. You see? They are there already, but you've got to get rid of the idea of the one that thinks he has to develop them, you see? Mm-hmm. He has to have them, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The trick of seems like the spiritual ego is to put that in time, so that it stays out of now is all there is.
Now is all there is.
Because as long as there's growth and development and becoming, and then it can keep its little...
It keeps on, right, yeah. See, the moment you recognize that there's nothing, then everything becomes clear. Remember the paradox, the polarities are one, the duality are one. See, the moment you see that nothing is real, then everything is real to you, because everything is that same spirit, is that same oneness. You see? Nothing is separate from anything else. But as long as you think something is real, money is real, my thoughts are real, my emotions are real, you see? Then you're split. You're separating all the time. So the moment you make something real, it will own you. If you make money real instead of a service rendered, you see? What happens? It owns you. You see? The same way that if you try to own your house, then you start to worry. If you own your car, then you start to worry. What if I lose it? What does this, somebody scratched it? You know, or something happens. But whatever is, everything is loaned you. You don't own anything. But if you know you don't own anything, then what can there be that you don't own? Are you seeing here the polarities here, how they all join? There's only oneness. Yeah.
Then there's no worry.
No.
There's no fear, there's no worry.
Yeah.
If it does disappear, you don't have the heartache because you're not putting
No.
ownership on
Because nothing is lost. You see, this is what we have to understand. It's not that you don't worry because it's lost. Nothing is lost. You see? You don't worry because there's nothing to worry about. It's just that there's nothing to worry about.
There's nothing really there.
There's nothing there. Nothing is really happening, right? You see? But you have to see it, you see, because the mind cannot see that.